Chef Buck here, and today we're going to cook up one of my favorite ingredients. We're going to do a twice baked spaghetti squash. So the first thing we have to do is bake it the first time, which is super simple. Now this is a Dinky Doo spaghetti squash. And we've had this sitting around the house for 2 weeks now, and it's still in pretty good shape. When you buy a spaghetti squash, you're going to want to get one that's firm, and you want it to be heavy for its size. And this one, even though it's been sitting around for a while, it's still pretty hefty, so it's not dried out. We're going to cut our spaghetti squash right through the middle, right here. We used to do it long ways. Either which way will work, but if you cut it this way, you'll be able to get longer strands of spaghetti-like squash out of here. Now the inside of this squash has seeds. We're going to go ahead and dig those seeds out right now. We could dig them out after we bake the squash, but then we might waste some of the squash, so we're going to do it right now. Bloop. See the inside of there? It's just got some pumpkin-like seeds. We'll just scrape them out. So you just want to hollow it out like that. So I got a little pan of water right here, and I just got about 1/4 of an inch of water on the bottom. And I'm just going to take my squash and put it whole side down. All right, come around here, camera girl. And you can see we've already got our oven preheated at 350 degrees. We'll just slide our squash in here, and we're going to let it bake away for about 30 minutes. Beep, 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 beep. Alrighty, so it's been a half an hour. Let's get our spaghetti squash out of the oven. You want to be very careful when it first comes out of the oven because there'll be steam trapped underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and leave my spaghetti squash alone, let it cool down, and I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the ingredients ready for this dish. I've already started. I've cut up some sun-dried tomato, some thin slices of jalapeno and garlic, and I'm also going to cut up an entire onion. I'm just going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to slice some super duper thin pieces of onion. And the thinner the better, because I'm going to toss this with the spaghetti squash. So we'll just break our onion apart into this bowl. Still warm, but very easy to handle. So I'm just going to take a fork and dig it into my squash and give it a little twist. And you can see the strands start to pull right apart. And I can just dig them out. And they are very spaghetti-like. And we can use all of the flesh inside the squash here. So look at all these nice longest strings I've gotten out of here. And there's still plenty in here, but it's getting hard to get out with the fork. So now I'm going to get a spoon and scrape the rest out of here. And it'll still come off in strings, but it's much easier to get it out in strings with a fork. But I want to make sure not waste any of this. So I'm going to use the spoon and scrape the sides. And look how nice and stringy that is. And I cooked this for a half hour, and it's done. I mean, it's cooked. It's not overcooked though. Could still use a little bit of cooking, but that's okay, because this is a twice baked squash recipe. The thing is, you don't want to overcook your squash, especially initially when you bake it, because you don't want it to be mushy, end up being mushy in whatever recipe you're going to make. And this is just 1/2 of the squash. And that's all I'm going to use for this recipe. And the other half of this squash I'll just use in a different squash recipe. But I'm going to go ahead and dig the squash out of this half to use for a later recipe. And this isn't even an overly large squash. So you can see how much squash you can get out of here for squash dishes. So I got my squash strings, I got my sliced up onions, and I'm just going to throw a little bit of olive oil in here. We'll get our onions coated in oil. We'll add in our other ingredients. Get all of that coated. Throw in our spaghetti squash. Kind of pull it apart. Get all these ingredients mixed up and oiled up. You know, it's like we're sending them on a fancy Club Med vacation. And those sun-dried tomatoes and these peppers and that garlic and onion, I mean, that is a lot of great natural flavor in there. So we're not going to use a lot of seasoning. I'm just throwing a little paprika and a little bit of salt. And that's it. That's going to be plenty. So I'm getting all of that seasoning mixed in here. And I'm just going to bake this in an 8x8 dish. I don't need a super duper large dish for this. And I'm not greasing the dish or anything because there's plenty of oil in this recipe. Now I'm just going to throw it in the oven. But I'm not going to cover it up because these ingredients are going to release a lot of moisture. And I don't want to trap that moisture in this dish. Still got my oven at 350 degrees. I'm going to slide it in here and I'm going to let it roast away for 30 more minutes. Beep, 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 beep. It's been baking away. You can hear it buzzing, bubbling. Now I'm going to take a little bit of Parmesan cheese. You can use whatever kind of cheese you like, but Parmesan is a great choice. Now I'll go ahead and slide it back into the oven, still uncovered. And we'll let it cook away a little bit longer. Beep, 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 beep. And that's it. Now we're just going to leave it alone. It's super duper hot. And that was just half of this spaghetti squash. So we've got plenty of squash left over for another recipe. I don't think I've given it enough time to cool down, but I'm going to go ahead and risk it. See, we don't have a lot of liquid in here at all because it's cooked off, which is why you want to bake it uncovered. There's just so much flavor in here without adding a lot of seasoning, just with these natural flavors. Go over to myfoodchannel.com. You can check out all our recipes over there. Thanks for watching and giving it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next weekend. Bye-bye.